ball here. Why don't we do this? Talisha, like
Yeah.
very, very quickly, tell me like one news story you've been following. Could be general, could be something in blockchain.
What am I following? Well,
Just super quick. Yeah.
I'm all over the place today, so I can't say what I'm following at this moment because, we've had some disparate things, but I don't know what good stuff came out today. Nothing really amazing happened today, not that I'm aware of. I watched a very interesting Black enterprise production today that I would welcome you guys to watch. It was very informative. Again, talking kind of like in the Silicon Valley, how, again, what we're trying to dismantle here, which probably be a part of the conversation that we're doing, that, how to increase diversity, how to make that a decision, because unfortunately it's an afterthought at this point. And even in this fact that it's a decision, when do you make it? What happens, and how do you conscientiously move forward through a company, specifically startups, with regard to the inclusion portion? Hello, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I know that that is something that people talk about all the time, but it's interesting when people start talking about implementing it. Some of the challenges that some people say that they have on both sides, on the
Right, and I
receiving
think
side and the giving side. So
it's difficult. I think there is a lot of default behavior, and like I said, it's very much denoted. You just kind of, building a business is not an easy thing, no matter what part that you start in.
yes.
It is always one of those things, like, how do you pull resources? How do you source ideas? How do you put things together? How do you manage? How do you pivot? All of those things come, and I think when you're doing that on the fly and trying to build a business, congruently, you're just picking people who are just, like right
Who are
next.
available.
Yeah, like, hey, can you help me?
Yes.
Like, and some people are like, sure, I'll help you. And other people are like, no, you got to control and do whatever. But I think this is where we pick like-minded things and like-minded people, and where our resources are and where our friends are, it becomes that issue. And even in the interview this afternoon, the woman was talking about how some of the tech founders were, the co-founders were of Twitter. And she was like, one guy was just friends or roommates with Jack Dorsey. And she was like, he wasn't a tech person. He just happened to know Jack. And so she was like, that's kind of what happens is if you know Jack, you get into Jack's business. And that's what happened.
Well, and we think about it. So proximity, this is a good conversation for us to have in terms of proximity. If you think about Facebook, the early founders got together. Why? Because they were all at Harvard together at the same time, or they were running around in the same circles, and you see Stanford is another place where they have a lot of innovation, MIT, a lot of innovation. Right now, one of the reasons, well, pre-COVID, and once things let up, going out and networking and meeting people, they won't care that you're Black. They'll be like, hey, diversity and something about blockchain, great, come on over. So, but yeah, I've been saying it for years now. It's not what you know, and it's not who you know, it's who knows you. I get a lot of opportunities just because someone knows me. Talisha, I'm sure the same thing. I know that people call her all the time. It's just because they know her. So one of the reasons why some of us may not be as successful may not have to do as much with skin color, ethnicity, as it does nobody knows who you are and what you do and what you can bring to the table, So with that, I will say, if it's Wednesday, it's Blockchain Day. Welcome to Blockchain Chat. We are all about the business of blockchain at Black Blockchain Consultants. So what does that mean? That means getting blockchain jobs, starting blockchain-based businesses, investing in the blockchain, whether you're investing time or money into a business. We want you to be smarter about that. And ultimately getting into this $3.1 trillion industry and getting your piece of the pie. So we come to talk about blockchain from our point of view. We've obviously already started that. Tonight is all about celebrity. And I was saying before that I am not a celebrity obsessed person, which is why you don't see us talking a lot about celebrity. Talisha and Eric knows their share of celebrities, so do I. They're just like, ah, you know. But someone texted me this morning with this story about Jay-Z, and then I saw another story about Akon, and then I saw a third story about some of the NBA stars and what they're doing. And I said, you know what? Hey, tonight, August 12th, 2020 shall be Celebrity Night at Black Blockchain Consultants. I do want to ask everybody here, last week we talked about unstoppable domains, right? I don't know if everyone was here last week, but I'm going to share my screen. We talked about getting your blockchain domain name so that people are able to, what really happened was Coinbase set up an alliance with this company, and now you're able to, instead of giving people your long key, you're able to give them your crypto key. So I bought Cherie.crypto, I bought CherieWarwick.crypto, and I bought my business plan name, and I bought some stuff for the 10K project as well, .crypto. So everybody here, put a 1 in the chat if you bought your crypto domain name. Put a 2 in the chat if you didn't. And if you say 2, I would suggest you consider going over there now. So Victoria's saying 1, Richard's saying 1, Rasana's saying 1. Perfect, perfect. So Talisha, I know did. Eric, did you? Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I sure did.
Yes. Did you buy Titan the tokenization too, or just your name?
I'm gonna mute.
Mute yourself for that one, huh? You could have gotten Titan.crypto. In the future, where do we send my Bitcoin to Titan.crypto? That's it.
Yeah.
So I will say something else. So I bought Cherie.com and Cherie.crypto and CherieWarwick.crypto. Did anyone find that their first name or just like a single name was more expensive? Because I paid $200 for just Cherie.crypto. And then I also bought my whole name just because of some stuff we're doing. You know, I didn't want someone taking my whole name and then defrauding people. So I grabbed that, but I thought it was very interesting. And another thing that I saw was if you tried to buy a name that was already trademarked by somebody else, they had some stuff up saying that that other company could come and take it from you, which I thought was very interesting too. So I'll open that up to my panel, all of that.
I think, again, we're learning from the past. So we know that this happened before when the .coms came about, that before people were just basically buying them all up and then holding them hostage for the individuals who had companies that needed that name. So now they're getting a little more sophisticated, using that this is a trademarked name. If you're trying to use that subsequently, you know, you do have to ask the person now instead of just squatting on the
Right.
name. So that becomes very helpful for some people. I still think there's going to be, as always, some people who are going to figure it out and you know, hold those names hostage for a minute, but it's all good. And why your names, those shorter names, are because they're more common, or again, there's other things going on with those. So those truncated names, if you didn't have a full scope or something like that. And I know a lot of people, even in BBC, were like, oh, don't use your full name. Well, you have to use your full name. And again, it is public for that purpose. That's why it is the public key. Where again, we're not trying to do nefarious acts where we're trying to be somebody else. And we're very much okay with it being, you know, if you're seeing T-Shine, then you should know that that should be me or any member of my family, since we're all T-Shines. But that's the point. We're not trying to, you know, defraud, or you want to be very noticeable. You want it to be something for the adoption purpose, just to be like, hey, go here, just like you would say your, you know, your website name. You want people to know who you are and to know firsthand that that's who you are, you truly are, so that they feel comfortable and confident giving you crypto.
Yes, yes. So Victoria's saying my first name wasn't available. There was a note about it being a premium domain name and being available at a later time. And that's very true. So Victoria has a common name. Fortunately for me, Cherie, and the way that it's spelled, it's a lot less common. I paid premium for it, but I was like, hey, you know, that's what you got to do. I also like the fact that I'm not going to be charged annually, because at first I was like $200 a year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then I read the print that said it's a one-time charge. I said, oh, okay, for a one-time charge, you know, I'll do it. But yeah, I thought it was a very interesting and great process to go through. And it's one of those things that's letting us know that mass adoption is closer than we think, you know?
Absolutely.
So Eric, you want to add something in there?
No, I was going to say really quickly, I think about it too. And, as we think through it, I think it's almost better that you do use your full name, just like how Talisha was saying, just because of just the confusion. Listen, we've seen people with phishing websites and that sort of thing, and it looks like the right finance and it's not, and then the next thing we're putting their information in and that kind of thing. That it's probably a safer route to use your full name just to more so protect yourself. Um, yeah, and protect the people that would be sending you money, in that regard. So
Or just grab your full name. So like I did,
yes,
so I own my full name as well. Nobody will ever be able to use it because I own it.
yeah.
But in terms of what I'm going to give out to people, I'm just going to give Cherie.crypto because, girl was early for once. So I want to take advantage of the fact that I was early for once, They're going to say, oh, wow, you got it back in the day when you could get just one name.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, yes. Yes, I did. And we got 10K project too. So
There we go.
yes. So we were early. And then Tawana made me grab up others too. She's like, grab this one, and this one too. So yes. So
Forward
that was,
thinking. That's all, just forward thinking.
yes. Absolutely. So, okay. So what we're going to do tonight is, first of all, if you're watching a replay of this, you're on our YouTube channel, please thumbs up, like it, and also please subscribe, because we are looking to hit that mighty 1,000 on our YouTube channel. And then we're going to go through a couple of different articles tonight with regards to celebrities investing in blockchain-based companies. So let us get started. The first is your boy Jay-Z. Somebody who I'm not excited about, really, but hey,
Do
he
not be
is
excited about Jay.
whatever. Um, so Jay-Z, along with others, have backed blockchain platform Alchemy, and now Alchemy is opening its doors. So Alchemy is a blockchain development platform that has been private for a while, but now is launched to the public. Its tools are already used by blockchain startups such as Maker and Dapper Labs, and the startup counts investors Jay-Z, Peter Thiel, and Will Smith. For those of you who don't know who Peter Thiel is, look him up. That's all I can say. He's very, very well known in the investment circles. So you might have heard of Dapper Labs, Maker, Kyber, hope I'm saying that right, Network, 0x, and Bancor. But the platform that those teams have used to bring their blockchain projects to life hasn't gotten the same kind of attention. Alchemy is a startup that estimates that its tech is used by 70% of the top Ethereum startups out there, including approximately 60% of the assets currently locked up in decentralized finance or DeFi contracts. Even games such as CryptoKitties and Gods Unchained rely on Alchemy development platform. Today's launch means that anyone can access the same platform and begin building the infrastructure behind their own blockchain apps. Alchemy co-founder and CTO Joe Lau suggested that blockchain app developers want to build skyscrapers, but the tools they typically have in front of them are rudimentary and are not capable enough to get the job done. He likened Alchemy products, Supernode, Build, Monitor, and Notify, to power tools. Lau said, because we power some of the largest and most sophisticated production applications today, we've been able to architect the platform to solve the most challenging problems at every stage of development up through production applications at scale. The startup raised $15 million in a Series A round last year and has a deeply diverse list of investors, including PayPal founder Peter Thiel and investor Charles Schwab himself, rapper Jay-Z, actor Will Smith, and Japanese soccer pro Keisuke Honda. Alchemy's tools are currently live on Ethereum, Bitcoin, and Litecoin, with plans to add support for Libra, Polkadot, Dfinity, Cosmos, and Tezos. So after I read this, I said, well, again, what exactly do they do? Because I was a little confused. So I went to the website itself. So basically, they do an API. They have an Ethereum API, and it is what they call a powerful suite of developer tools. So Alchemy Build is a no-code, no-configuration suite of developer tools, instantly search through millions of historical requests, view real-time transactions in mempool, make JSON RPC calls directly from the dashboard, and quickly scan recent requests and errors. So apparently this is supposed to take out a certain number of steps for developers, and also give developers APIs as well. So, I want to show one more thing before I allow my panel to talk. And that is our curve here, right? So this is the technology curve here. So the innovators are the people who just start with blockchain. And even back in 2018, I would consider us as potentially a part of that group. Now we're starting to see early adoption come in with blockchain. The money is going to be made when the early majority gets in, and it's going to be made by the innovators and the early adopters. So I haven't shown this in a while. Some of you may be new, but we're entering a space here where, as the number of people start coming into blockchain, and we have a couple of additional examples of that tonight, money is going to be made. So with that, Talisha, Eric, I know Eric is going to light it up, so I'll let Talisha go first, and then we can hear Eric light up the panel.
Well, no, because I'm actually gonna be much more subdued. So no, Talisha, go ahead.
He's calm down.
Oh, please, we need a little controversy, and BBC is the place to do it.
No, I think I won't go too far. So let me go.
Well, I'll talk from the true technical standpoint. This is what is necessary. If you want people to utilize blockchain, one of the obstacles was the access. It's a very, complicated system to just build on your own, to go out and say, okay, let me just start this. It is not, it's cumbersome. It takes a lot of power. There's a lot of other things going on. So if you have a tool and a suite of tools that let you connect through an API and let you basically piggyback onto it and give you access to blockchain data and the infrastructure, you have a much more robust thing. It was just like building HTML. It's one of those things. You don't have to write the entire code. You have a basis for it, and you're just doing simple calls on top of something that allows you, therefore, still have the robustness that you need. But from a very front end perspective, you're very easy, to kind of maneuver, and everything behind that works in symmetry with you. So that's the other part of it, is that's why a large portion of these platforms are using them, because everybody has that same consistency with it. So they're not trying to, it is private. That's what will make that denoted. It's not a public blockchain. It is a private blockchain. But at the same time, it has that robustness. And what happens with that is also the test and learn kind of comes much more simplistically because it's controlled, because you can kind of go into it. It's a heavy-hitted stress test kind of platform. So people are going in, building all kinds of things. Test and learns are happening very rapidly. A lot of iterations are happening. So now you have all this test data, all this ability to say, yep, this works, this doesn't. And now you have what you consider the validation. User validation is one of those biggest things also for early adoption of any kind of software that you're using. And this is the prime example. So now they have like, okay, we have over 1 million transactions a day. We have, you know, they have the metrics to go along to back up that people are actually utilizing it. And some of those protocols that are behind it are working very, very seamlessly at this point. So they have credibility, and that's, I'm going to leave it at that. Go ahead, Eric.
No, because I'm not going to.
I mean,
edited
from
myself.
a technical standpoint, we're gonna talk. Yeah, from the tech, it's sweet. It's definitely a very good thing to have and a good introduction in the sense of opening up even broader. Because again, once you're in that private beta, it was wonderful. That's where you had everybody kind of just chomping at the bit, and then you say, okay, we've done it, we've stress tested it. Now everybody, here you go, have fun. And we have individuals who are using it even in our own community. So
Yeah,
But
because they did mention, oh, go ahead. And put in the chat, Eric, if you want Eric to light it up.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it.
Put Eric in there. Like we're gonna like what, egg him on. Yes.
I'm not going to do it.
Don't egg him. Don't do that.
No, it would give me. I'm not going to get me in trouble.
I promise not to get you in trouble.
No. Yeah, this is public, so I'm not going to. But let me just say, Talisha, I am thinking though, because of the way that this is going to work, this is going to reduce the time that developers would be utilizing with the debugging of
Not so much debugging, because that still has to happen. It's just more, it's quicker. And again, you don't have to build out your back end. You just have to worry about your front end part. So when you're coming up with that concept, you're like, okay, I need all of these things, and then I need the blockchain. So you have that in the back. You're not worried about that at this point. Now you're worried about the front end pieces, some of your security layers. You're worried about those things much more. And then you just simply adhere to the rules of the private blockchain for that connection piece. And then you're off and running.
Okay, got it. Okay, no, I mean, that's it. I mean, I think that's, when I was just doing some reading on them, I think one of their main things was that they wanted, when someone did want to come up with a blockchain application, they wanted them to be able to put more of their time and attention into the development of their idea and of the marketing and every other thing that's needed without having to expend an exorbitant amount of resources when it came down to the development. So I look at this in a sense of, we've already talked about mass adoption. There's always kind of these components and steps, and it's like, well, like, what is it going to take for us to get from here to there? And now I think, if we think back to like 2017, man, it feels like in that 3-year period, we've taken like huge leaps. Even thinking about unstoppable domains, to be really honest, like you think about people, when you see these long,
the keys
of letters and numbers, and hey, you need to send it to this wallet, and just even for a lot of people, they get intimidated by this. Like, man, what if because I missed one, that transaction is completely lost. And now you think about it now, we're like, well, wait a minute. For you to have your own personal name connected down to a website, and I bring that up because the UX and the ability for us to make things easier for the end user on the end, to me, it's just speeding up quicker and quicker and quicker. And this is a great example of that. Only thing I will say is, listen, it's interesting because you saw those other names that they had there. They had Will Smith, they had Charles Schwab, Jay-Z gets to the front. It's a little clickbaity, but I guess that's,
it is clickbaity, but that's okay.
Of them. Let's be very clear. They had a Series A, I believe, that was 15 mil, and 37 investors. He is one of the 37 investors. So some of them you would recognize if you go out there, if you go on LinkedIn, and you'll see all of them listed out. Some of them you're like, oh, I know that person, and some of them are totally obscure to you. But that, I think that is just showing you the mixture. I think that to me was a good indicator of who and what is aware of what's available out here in the investment aspect from a blockchain consideration. So it's not always the who, you know, but that, again, that how is it being socialized? How are we talking about these problems? How are we looking at it? And again, for an end user to have a great experience, it takes a really astute developer. So as I said, that back end is really important because I have to make sure it works each and every single time seamlessly for you, because that one glitch is going to be, you know, the end all. Consumers are very finicky. They don't like when they have to do more clicks, or it didn't look, or it doesn't load. So, you know, anything that speeds up the development process, that gives me the ability to assess it, to make those quick iterations, and also to really truly drill down into the problem to make it a true value added service for my consumer. That's really where I think the exponential growth happens, is in the build process, because once it's on the facing front, we're good to go. And then we could just make it whatever color you want, and then we can customize it, and you can have your name on it and all that good stuff. But it takes us to make it from a technical standpoint, making those things available and readily accessible, and that I can iterate much quicker. Those are the things that are really going to help the adoption, because that's how it's made.
You know, the other thing
Go ahead.
I'll say one last thing. Now, I'm saying one last thing. This is one thing I'm going to say with this too, especially speaking from a consultant standpoint. Listen, okay, I know people, so I'm just going to say this. All right, kudos to that person from Alchemy side on whoever that intermediary was, who was able to then go out and speak to everyone else, and to be able to communicate to them the complexities, and enough to the point that they felt comfortable enough in making this investment. I think that skill set, even of itself, of that person being able to be in the middle to be able to do that, says quite a bit. So
I agree, and I think that we should be able to do that as well. That's the whole point of us being blockchain consultants, and being able to translate complex things into simplistic things. So those of us who are great with communication, et cetera, you know, that's something that we should be doing, because it's going to be very much needed. The other thing I was going to say is Black people, especially Black entertainers, are known for making things popular. So the fact that Jay-Z and Will Smith are a part of this, and I'm sure there are some white entertainers that are a part of this as well, but particularly Black entertainers, Black rappers, and Black athletes, and we're going to have a story about the NBA stars, because they're starting to follow in Dinwiddle's tracks now. That is going to help accelerate mass adoption in a way that some of our counterparts may not be able to, you know, because when Black people get on board with something, we are the biggest consumers of stuff. Like, I want us to also be owners of this, or, you know, doing something within this, and not just be consumers of it. But when Black people start consuming something, all of a sudden it really does take off. So a part of what you said, being able, like the person being able to communicate to Jay and his team and others, probably was, let's set up ourselves up strategically, so that when we're ready to have this thing promoted, all of a sudden, you know, Jay has $500,000, whatever amount of money in this thing. He is motivated. He's motivated to come up with a use case, or get involved with the use case and talk about it, because all of a sudden people would be talking about it, or get his wife to do something with it, you know, etc. So I'll throw that out as well. What do you guys think?
I'll let you go, Eric, because I'm gonna switch it around. So go ahead.
All right. Well, listen, I agree. Like, first of all, let me just say this, okay? And I'll say this even respect to their investment. I would say this, and sorry to take it away from anyone, but this is probably one of the more least sexy kind of investments when we come to that. And so to me, that kind of does say something about where we're headed to this, because let's just be honest. What was it, a couple of years ago? Floyd Mayweather had the money coin, then we had DJ Khaled doing something else, and and we saw how that all worked out. The SEC came and slapped everybody on the wrist, and we saw a lot of that kind of thing being launched, and it was just sort of it was what it appeared to be.
Right.
So it does say something to that. He landed pretty much into a suite of development tools. I mean, to me, from that point, like, I like that. Like, that's the place that we should pivot ourselves to be in. And Sri, you're absolutely right. We do drive the culture in so many ways, and that's why I look at us for blockchain applications to begin to really look to dominate in that space.
And I think that's where I was going. I think this is not a sexy, end product. Like, this is a development tool suite. Like, that's not like, ooh, I'm just going to run out and go get it. It's not a pair of J's. It's not a pair of Nikes. And that's the fundamental difference in these type of investments. These are fundamental and infrastructure tools that we're talking about here. And why we're talking about it now, with those individuals understanding that to build what we're looking to build, it is a foundational thing. So we're not looking at the end product in mind now. We're looking at what starts this. So we're looking from, I think that's a whole mind shift of consumerism to truly building and being a part. And once we start having those conversations, so I think that really switches with the individuals who are involved, specifically the Black individuals who are involved, are looking for structural kind of things to change. And I think you're going to go into the Akon kind of article. And again, talking about infrastructure, building water, building plumbing. Those things aren't like, ooh, let's go build some pipes. Nobody's really going to get excited about that. But those are the sustainability aspects. Those are true assets that are needed, rather than, clothing and music and all those other kind of things. So I think that whole shift is a really good and, moving us in the right direction with regard to our consumerism now being changed into a commercial asset for ourselves to leverage.
Well, I mean, just think about the 444 album, and I didn't hear it. I just heard about it. But people have been saying Black wealth for years, get your credit together, things like that. Jay puts it to a beat, and all of a sudden it's like, what? I didn't know.
Yeah.
Jay's so smart, blah, blah, blah. So what I'm suggesting maybe is all of a sudden Jay, and somebody on Facebook, Ansel, is giving me laughs here and kudos here, but all of a sudden Jay's going to say, you know what, Smart, instead of you just holding cryptos, why don't you make some cryptos? Word. Y'all know, I don't mean.
We're not going back to Word. We're not doing that.
You know how old I am now, right? But all of a sudden, people be like, and then people, young kids will say, oh yeah, let me do that. How do I do that? Use this Alchemy product, I mean, I'm not saying he's going to do it blatantly like that, but that's what I'm trying to say is he has the ability to influence in a way
I agree.
that that some of us wouldn't be able to. And then all of a sudden there could be a mad rush of, people using these types of tools in order to create things so that we can consume more and consume more. So also some of Jay's other companies may use Alchemy as well in order to build stuff that people can consume. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't think it was a sexy,
Tidal is a prime example.
Yes.
He has a streaming service.
Yes.
How wonderful would that be to turn that into something and put all that music? Obviously, he has a whole suite of music on his own that it's only available on Tidal, that you can't get anywhere else. Now add a blockchain to it. Add the consumerism of, if you listen to certain ads or listen to certain upcoming music and give your reviews, you get some crypto as your reward.
Get some crypto.
Think of all the things that could happen in that small purview that kind of just now shifts everything around, and again makes an ecosystem for all the products that you have in your own, I would say in your own suite.
Yeah.
You have now, you have these connectivities through all your investments that kind of just, kind of work together. And that to me is truly the link of the chain. You're making these little moves that all kind of are synergized together, and that are value adds not only for you, but for your end product as well, and the end consumers. So I think that's what we're closing that gap.
Or, the truth is, like, Tidal, of all the streaming services, Spotify is winning now, right? So Tidal may even turn it to, something where people are able to take crypto and, what do you call it? Get royalties. The artist can get royalties, and people, if you like that specific artist, you can, give them a few pennies of crypto, and being able to find new artists. So I think there are going to be a lot of different ways that he could potentially do something like this and all of a sudden make it hot. Like, because, Jay-Z put this together, all of a sudden it's someplace that people can flood to. So and who knows? And none of that may happen. I don't know. I just think that, it's something that we are so influential. We're so influential, and people have been talking about the fact that we need to own more of our influence. And blockchain and crypto can be one of those ways that we're able to do it. So
Agreed.
That was a point. Okay, so let's go to article number 2, all about Akon. So for all of my people in Africa, particularly in Kenya, Akon has announced a partnership with a Dutch company called Effect.AI. They're launching an initiative known as the Kenyan Opportunity Hub to help provide jobs and quality education in blockchain technology. And I will say I do have something controversial to say based on the last sentence of this article, so stay tuned. All right. So Kenyan Opportunity Hub to provide jobs and quality education about blockchain education. The new initiative would push the adoption of blockchain in Kenya and provide massive diverse job opportunities. Furthermore, the CEO, Chris, said that his team was working on some modalities to ensure that a vast number of the population enjoys these benefits. The new African blockchain hub will kick off its operations at a medical and technology city set up by the United States engineering firm. I have something to say about that as well. After completing the hub in Kenya, the initiative plans to extend its services to other countries, including Ghana. Effect.AI presently has a blockchain hub launched in Georgia, which seeks to create job opportunities amongst other beneficial things. So I have 3 controversial things to say. Number 1 is this group here is planning on launching in multiple African countries, number 1. Number 2, they're also in Georgia. It didn't say Atlanta, but I wonder if it's in Atlanta. So I have a little bit of a conspiracy theory now in me with regards to they seem to want to penetrate Black areas. And number 3, having a diverse group of jobs. I just want to make sure, because we've heard about this in other companies that go to Africa, that Black Africans truly get these opportunities, because we've seen where other nations come in and they say, oh, these opportunities, we're going to have more jobs, etc. And it's my understanding that the jobs are not going to the Black Africans that are there.
Correct.
The final thing is the new African blockchain hub will kick off its operations at a medical and tech city set up by a United States engineering firm. I'm wondering where in the United States is our city, our medical and technology city. And at first I thought it said set up by the United States government, but it said engineering firm. So I'm like, okay, well, that's a little bit different. So those were my controversial things with regards to that article, but I'll open it up.
Well,
Akon.
Did that article reference Akon at all in that?
It did. It said, it just said that Akon has entered into a partnership with them to launch this African blockchain hub. And it said that his Akon, what is it? The Akon Foundation, I didn't highlight it, but the Akon Foundation is supposed to oversee the project.
Okay.
So
okay.
that's where Akon himself comes in.
Okay, well. Listen.
We're going.
You know, okay. A few years ago, I was working with a very, very well-known African singer, Grammy Award winner, and we were doing this collaboration together. And through this collaboration, I think we've all seen like the beautiful patterns that a lot of African women wear. We were going to utilize those patterns in her video. And as we were going to do them, and we were setting them up, the co-creator who was working with us said, "Hey, we can't use those." And I said, "Why? These are classic patterns we all use." He was like, "Well, it's actually owned by, you know, a company. It's a Dutch company." And I was like, "What do you mean?" It was, I was so like discombobulated. Like, what do you mean? It's like, no, a Dutch company owns this, but we can ask them for approval. I was like, okay, let's go do that. I mean, this is a worldwide Grammy Award winning African singer. Everyone knows her, this and that. We're using these patterns in this video. And they said no. And that to me was something that really like, it like hit me, stung me right in the chest. Like, wait, what? And then I'm looking at like, and these are patterns that like you'd see, like they're like classic, everyone's wearing it, same colors, that sort of thing, all the beautiful colors that the ladies are wearing. And I was like, wow. So I'm referencing that because things like that always sit in the back of my mind whenever I begin to see kind of these kind of European entrenches into Africa, where I'm kind of going, okay. So that's why I asked too, who's overseeing all of this? Because
yeah,
that's,
and just because it's the Akon Foundation doesn't mean it's Akon like himself. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Because I've seen the people that are part of his Acoin group, and the only other Black person I saw, now this was about a year ago, the only other Black person I saw was an intern. So, you know, you take that for what it is.
My only concern, which, you know, I'll always say, like the one thing that popped in was the healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Contact tracing is the top #1 thing right now. And again, you have to have test subjects. And I have a very strong feeling about utilizing individuals who are not giving consent.
mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
it's considered just, oh, this is our project, and you kind of slide that in. That's not a slide in kind of thing. You definitely need to have a very strong protocol for testing anything, and this is not the time to kind of ramp it up and just throw it into, oh, we're going to bring you water, we're going to bring you this and electricity, and you just got to take this shot to get it. You know, that's not how that goes, and so that's the only concern when you say that a medical engineering firm. Why is that where you start? That to me is not a starting point for any aspect of starting, you know, any project. Doesn't begin with healthcare. That's not something, because again, there's just a large amount of things that need to be, you know, maneuvered and checked, and, you know, compliance. And there's just so much where I'm thinking, not the fact that bringing water to a city probably isn't, you know, without its fair share of things as well. But I just think that didn't fit in the article. If you kind of read through it, it's like, oh, this is great. This is a new foundation. Oh, we're just going to have healthcare. Mm-hmm. It just kind of came out of left field. And that was the concerning part when I read that article.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff in that article where I was like, you know, I don't know about that.
Yeah, that was not a well-written article. Like I said, it left too much out there.
It left a lot out there. It did seem like there were a lot of holes in that article.
Kind of slapped together, and it was like either they're, you know, give you too much leeway for the person who read it, or just
Mhm.
these are the facts, we're just reporting the facts. I
Mhm.
need something else because they're not congruent, they don't go together. And it definitely left you with like, what does this mean? I think I
Yeah.
read it and I'm like, what, why? Who's doing it? Where are they doing it? Why do they need this? But where's the Dutch intervention? Like there was too many questions after,
Right. Right.
just reading those.
And the fact that they want to be in multiple places in Africa and they're in Georgia, and we don't know where in Georgia, but it just there was a lot in there. Let's just say that. And I'm by no means a social justice warrior or anything like that. I just look at that stuff and I always want the best for our people. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
So
you know what, like, and can I say, like, I've listened to a lot of podcasts and from, various different people, and I've heard this in multiple times, that many see Africa as the next pace of technological
right, the next
development.
frontier. Yeah.
Yeah, but then you start when we start, and listen, I don't care. You can have them in the room, and I'm going to say the same thing to them. Listen, you're going to understand, everyone. We're going to have a healthy degree of skepticism due to history and past, and you just got to deal with that. Period. I'm not going to sit here and just willingly accept and adopt whatever you're saying that blindly, like that. But it does concern me when I begin to see this a lot from them, putting their focus on Africa, and kind of like what you just said, Talisha, that really stung me. Like, that's right, about consent and about health consent,
And
and
you start
yeah.
there. I'm bringing you all this great stuff. Oh, you just have to have healthcare. It's like, no, that
Okay.
no.
Well, they've also been talking, well, I'll say there are certain people in a European monarchy, Meghan Markle's brother-in-law, who was talking about population control and things like that as well. So, we just have to be very careful with regards to what we're saying is a good thing.
Mhm.
And
Right.
that's one of the things that Talisha brings up when she's talking with the people that she's mentoring about tech projects. And she said before that she will say, okay, well, how could this be used against
Mhm.
the
That's right.
community? And really thinking about
Technology,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Technology is great, but again, we have business overlaying all of this. And what is the
Mhm.
business intent? What are you trying to do? And who is the end consumer? Who are your stakeholders? All of those questions need to be asked. And more importantly, what happens, if any of these things don't come together? What
Mhm.
happens when this tech is utilized in some other capacity? So I said, contact tracing, we're always going to have this conversation because it's a big deal. I cannot just track you just for one thing. It's kind of an all or nothing. And the testing of a vaccination is not something that just can be done like, oh, willy nilly. It needs to be a very controlled process. And I talked
Right.
about this before, that we're trying to expedite it. But again, you have to have willing participants who consent to the treatment, and therefore kind of are then monitored through the entire process to ensure that their health and their safety is not being compromised by the vaccination. So there's so much that goes on to that. Like I said, that's why it doesn't seem to fit into the technological prowess, like we're bringing technology to this place. Those kind of things we have to watch. What does that mean? And we have to question, what type of tech are you bringing? Why are you bringing that here? What is the impetus? All of those things really need to be questioned very thoroughly and consistently, because as we know, things change. It could be this one day, and then next thing you know, it could be something totally different, just because, and the tech is not going to change. It's just the purpose of the tech is going to change. So we need to be just very cautious about that.
Right. Absolutely. Well, let's go then to our final celebrity. We're celebrity obsessed. At BBC today, it'll probably be another 3 years before you get another celebrity obsessed conversation. But let's talk about Dapper Labs, who closed $12 million from VC firms and NBA stars. So Dapper Labs, a company that is developing a new flow blockchain, announced that it has raised $12 million in a new round of funding from investors like NBA players Andre Iguodala from Miami Heat, Spencer Dinwiddie and Garrett Temple from Brooklyn Nets, JaVale McGee from the Lakers, and Aaron Gordon from Orlando Magic. They have a whole bunch of additional people in here who are also a part of the funding. In connection with the funding, Dapper Labs also announced initial results from its first phase of beta testing for NBA Top Shot, its upcoming flagship title developed for the Flow blockchain. And the first 500 players of the NBA Top Shot have spent thousands of hours opening packs, trading moments, and completing collections together. NBA Top Shot was designed in partnership with the NBA and NBPA to appeal to basketball fans' love of showcasing their knowledge and expressing their fandom. And the experience has captured the nostalgia of trading cards and the fun of sneaker trading within a digital universe. So the key quote, because I said, well, what does this have to do with the blockchain, right? Crypto enables entirely new possibilities for people to create and exchange value on the internet. Flow is a new and easy to use blockchain that lowers barriers to entry and lets anyone join this new digital economy. The funding from this round will ensure Flow can scale to the size of projects appealing to fan bases as vibrant and demanding as the NBA and our other partner brands, including Dr. Seuss, UFC, and Warner Music. Flow lets fans join the economy of their passions in a way that wasn't possible before crypto. So this is more crypto-based play than a blockchain-based, play. But what do you think?
Excellent use case. I think, like I said, you want to talk about the low barrier of entry. You don't need to know anything. You just need to know, I love this team. I want this card. I want this jersey. That's all you need to do. So you really are, everything else is behind the scenes. And I think this is the whole tokenization portion.
That's what I was going.
Yeah, you don't have to know anything about how or the why. You just need to know the what. And everything takes care of itself. But that's what I'm saying. You're getting all the benefits of making sure it's authenticated, that you're not just getting, a reproduced jersey. You're getting a real one at the time. You're getting the custom sneakers that you asked for. You're getting that unique card with that unique, RIDF chip or whatever it is to make sure that it's authenticated and you're the only one that has it. All of those things that a fan would want to have, and really, for the whole aspect of just participating, now they have all within one ecosystem. And I think, again, knowing that there's an exchange, the players themselves are vested into this, as well as giving their fans something. I think, again, closing that cycle, it's making everything kind of come together and work together. Everybody has a true stake in this. And I think that's where we were missing before, because some things were just really like, I'm the stakeholder, therefore I'm going to get everything, and you're just the poor little person who just has to participate. Now there is a strong, cycle and a cyclical aspect to, this is what I want. Can you give that to me? As a consumer, now we're really, again, sophisticated enough to make demands of people and say, yeah, and I want it like this. I want it very customized to how I want it. I want to deliver like this. I want to be able to trade it. I want it to keep. I want it to appreciate and value. Like we're asking all these things. And now crypto gives us that ability to do that.
Yeah. Eric?
We were talking earlier when we were talking about the article with Jay-Z. And we were talking about just utilizing those, like your people skills and your relationships and your ability to be able to communicate blockchain concepts to people to get them on board. And it doesn't shock me that Spencer Dinwiddie is listed in this article. I would probably say, and who knows, and I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me that he was probably the primary catalyst that allows this, who goes on and who's, and who's communicating to everyone else. I mean, I think we've all listened to interviews with him. Brilliant guy. Really, really smart, knows his stuff. And, he, to me, is just a great ambassador, too, in the space, just like Felicia was saying, just talking about just great use cases, him with tokenizing his contract and just the way he went about that. Even when he got pushed back, he didn't just go sit in the corner. He came back out fighting and pushed it and got it on through and did it. And I just see that. I'm really impressed. But yeah, it wouldn't shock me that he's probably the primary catalyst that's allowing this to be adopted.
Yeah. I will say when I read this article, I noticed that they have the NBA, but they also have the UFC as well.
Okay.
So what I'm seeing is their ability to be able to do it by sport
Hmm.
and also have the NBA, but then they may move to college, then high school teams. You would be able, just like Facebook groups, to get groups of people together. It could be a little league. It could be, different types of groups of people who want to get together. It may end up being a needling group or, a gardening group or something like that eventually as well. They also had Warner Music. So, we talked about this earlier with the Jay-Z thing, being able to fund, fund your favorite artist or something like that, or say, hey, I really like that song. I want to be able to support that artist. I don't necessarily want to buy their whole album, but
Yeah.
I'll give them $1 because I really, really like that song. So and even Dr. Seuss. I'm not quite sure what they would do with Dr. Seuss, but it
That
must
is
be
one
also
of the
sort of a parenting thing.
can you imagine how often Dr. Seuss is quoted?
Uh-huh. Oh, royalties.
Yes.
Okay.
He,
All
I
right.
mean, he is quoted. I think he's one of the most quoted authors, almost on T-shirts. Yeah, like memes, T-shirts everywhere. So that's what I'm saying. People want to use Dr.
Mhm.
Seuss quotes all the time. I think
Interesting.
gambling is the next venture. Like again, I think of when
I
we
agree.
build these kind of things, you get fans involved, but then you come with the heavy hitters of what they want to do. And this is again just something that's a plug and play to
Mhm.
this type of blockchain, is when you add that, betting and gambling in there at the very end, and that could take on a whole nother thing, because then you have fantasy teams come in
Mhm.
to play, and that's already a big deal. Just being able to keep all of the statistics, all of those things readily available, every shift, every change that happens per game, per season, all of that being aggregated in real time. And then you can bet against that. And again, a token aspect. So you're betting a fraction of a fraction of a fraction based upon how many yards somebody got, how many rebounds somebody got. You have all of these things now that you wouldn't be able to do. It's either they perform well or they didn't. And now again, crypto gives you that ability to be very succinct in what you're asking for. So I think it has the malleability to grow, but also just fans, anything, fans run things. I know I'm a big Steeler fan. I have everything black and gold. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There
I'm
isn't
with you.
anything else to it. Like, and I've owned these things forever, and I still buy more and more. That's just what fans do. So I think that's a very good, again, use case, because it's simple, it's easy, and it doesn't
And people
require me
get
to
it.
know anything, but that I like it. Can I have it? What do you need? It's a real simple to kind of put into place. I think that's why it definitely shows the usability and that low barrier of entry.
Right. So I'm going to do audience participation because I have something that just came to mind and I want to make sure that people are listening. So put a 2 in the chat if you're listening still. Put a 2 in the chat if you want to know what Cherie is thinking with regards to the business of blockchain and what we talked about tonight and how you can apply it.
And I'll
Good.
answer
I'm seeing 2s here. Perfect. Okay. I learned this lesson, the first lesson years ago in business, and the second lesson actually, I think it was Eric who mentioned it in a 10K project discussion. Be the toll booth or be the cell phone case manufacturer.
Yes.
When you're thinking about these things, be the toll booth or be the cell phone case manufacturer. What do I mean by that? The toll booth is the person who gets paid for every transaction, no matter what. Talicia's a Steelers fan. You want to get in front of the Cowboys fans, you want to get in front of the 49ers fans, etc. Years ago, there was a guy named Jay Abraham who said, some of the richest people are the people who are the toll booths. I've been talking to you for years about, I'd love to have us do something around like being PayPal, where you get 60 cents for every transaction that goes through, but you got 10 million transactions going through a day, and all of a sudden you're a gazillionaire, right? So taking what we talked about tonight or any of the stories we're thinking of and thinking, how can I be a toll booth? Or how can I be the cell phone case manufacturer,
True.
right? What do I mean by that? And Eric was the one that actually said it, and I thought it was brilliant, so I'm bringing it up tonight. Meaning that some of the, when cell phones first came out, they were continuously breaking, right? People were dropping them, whatever. Somebody came up with, hey, let's create, something to stick on the back of this thing so that if I drop it, whatever, it has a better chance of survival. Now, I know some of our cell phones are still cracked anyway, because we dropped it the wrong way. But whomever designed the cell phone case, I don't know if they have a patent on it, whatever, they should be a gazillionaire too, because it doesn't matter what kind of iPhone I have, what kind of Android I have, you change the measurements and all of a sudden you're in business. What I'm saying to you is this: the people that are going to make money from what we talked about tonight and all of the other stories we've talked about, especially in our community, you don't have to be a developer. You don't even have to be a consultant. You could be the toll booth, or you could be the cell phone case manufacturer. Now, how that translates for you, my suggestion to you is get in groups, small groups, and figure out how to apply it. But the people we talked about tonight, from Alchemy to even the AI group, the Dutch group, to what is this group that's
Dapper
doing
Labs. Dapper Labs.
Dapper Labs? They're toll booths. They're toll booths.
Sure are.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
I want some of us to be toll booths. And I want some of us to be cell phone manufacturers.
Maybe that's what you can also do. Just be an on-ramp, because you want to have people
on-ramp.
get on to the blockchain. You have to get them to that. So maybe that's you're the conduit to it. Because you got to lead them to that blockchain, of Flow's blockchain. Maybe they just need a nice interface. Maybe they need a UX that's just so great that, again, it's black and gold. You got me. I'm coming directly to you. You say Steelers, I'm there. I'm going to click on every button that you got on there to give me anything you got. So that's what happens. So I think you can maneuver all sorts of ways. I think it is this, but it's those ancillary services. I think sometimes we get caught in trying to build the big thing. The big thing always needs support. And the support never goes away, no matter how behemoth the big thing gets or changes. Those things always are pretty consistent, and they just keep on chucking.
Yeah. Dr. George Fraser did a great conversation with us, Eric and Dr. Keisha, last week. And he said, you don't have to build the robots or manufacture them, repair the robots.
That's right.
I thought that was so brilliant. It hadn't occurred to me before. We need to think beyond just, I got to create this brand new blockchain out here that takes us to Mars. No, we don't. Like Talicia's saying, how can you be the on-ramp? Like I'm saying, how can you be the toll booth where somebody's trying to get from point A to point B, they got to give you their nickel, How can you be the cell phone case manufacturer where something is breaking, or the robot repair person, something's breaking and you just slap something on it and it's fixed? So
let's say blockchain customer service is going to be, right now, customer support and customer service and experience, all of those things are the true differentiators in every business across the board. So that's always going to be, we know that that's a mainstay. So now moving that into how does that apply to the technology? That's the next part, because there's still going to have to be some level of interaction. There's human error. There's just things that don't work right. There's just, I don't understand. Help me. How do I do it? All of those things are wrapped up in a UX experience, in the sense of actually delivering that service to another human being as a human being. That's a billion-dollar business right there.
Right.
So you have to
some of you are thinking of things within the Simba Chain group as well. Like, think about that. Seriously, think about it, because I'm going to go back to what we have here.
And Derek, I see your question. I will get
Mhm.
to you after Cherie is done.
We are entering this area here where the chasm happens and the money is about to be made.
Mhm.
You got until summer of next year, most likely, if not sooner, to decide what you want to do and start getting it in motion. And I cannot say that enough. Some of you have been with us from the beginning, 2018, when we started talking about this. We talked about a lot of different use cases, etc. I don't want to see any of you who wants to really be in this miss it. So, just something to think about. Go ahead, Talisha.
Okay, and in that graph that you always show, I always
Mhm.
say the biggest impetus at the very end is teaching all of the late adopters and the laggards. That is a business model that's just right, because you have to onboard all of those people.
Even the early adopters, you're going to have to teach too.
Yeah, some of those, but again, they're much more, hands-on, and they're pretty much going to create what they need. But the other people who are, again, once a system is made and now it's like, how do I use it? You're going to have service those individuals. But Derek asked an interesting question about, when are coins going to be standardized? And I think that's an interesting question. So I'm thinking, I'm not sure what you mean by standardized, but what I'm going to take my answer to that is that they're never going to be standardized. We're always going to have the variety of coins. We're going to have volatility just like we have in regular aspects, but the difference between a coin in the sense of a tokenized coin versus a cryptocurrency is going to be that that token is going to have a prerequisite value. Whatever that ecosystem is going to make it, that's where the stabilization happens. And it's only in that ecosystem. Like I said, if we're building something for fans, they're not going to be able to maneuver outside of that unless we take it up a little bit further, and unless they're using just true cryptocurrencies. But if they're using a token, it's only going to be viable within that system, and then maybe a secondary market once they build it up to something that they can exchange it for crypto or fiat at that point. So I don't know if that answers your question, but you can email me, or we can have this conversation in the Facebook group too, if you want.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much to everybody for being here tonight. I hope you really got a blessing from it. Last week we really broke down the unstoppable domains, and tonight we talked about it again. So I can't encourage you enough. Even if, like, I haven't set up my wallet or any of it in that yet, I just saved my name, So even if you just do that, your step, light years ahead, and then you'll come together and figure out the rest of it later whenever you have a chance. So I can't suggest that enough. I can't suggest enough that you consider being the on-ramp, being the toll booth, being the cell phone case manufacturer, being the repair person for the robots. Like, find your niche, because we are getting to a point where the money is about to be made. Big money is about to be made, and I want to see some millionaires in the house and some generational wealth being built.
Absolutely.
So, all right then. Well, anything else, Alicia, Eric?
No.
All right. Well, welcome to Celebrity Night on the blockchain. It'll be another year or two before that happens again, unless someone does something that's just so phenomenal that we bring it back again. Thank you to everybody on Facebook as well. I see you there too. And have a great evening. See you next week.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.